in March, I discussed a stand that was very non-conventional to the normal idea of stands, that being Remote Romance, a stand created by Hidehiko Araki to celebrate the 25th anniversary of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Remote Romance was mainly used to give people a way to wander the art exhibit late at night without there being a crowd. Now that we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I guessed that we'd get something similar to Remote Romance in that video, and we did actually. Though it's unlike Remote Romance, this new original character and stand is not created by Hidehiko Araki, but by David Productions, the company that does the anime for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, did David Productions do a good job with their first real original stand? Well, let's find out. So, 2017 being the 30th anniversary for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has led to a lot of cool different things, sadly none of them involving Part 5 in an anime, but you do have a lot of brand new Thus Spoke Rohan Kishibe. You have both a new manga, which is called DNA, and you have the new OVA by David Productions. You also have the JoJo Festival in Morio S City, which is Senda renamed itself to Morio for a special celebration. And then you have the reopening of Hidehiko Araki's JoJo exhibit in Senda, aka Morio. So you have an exhibit in Morio that called itself Morio. That's really cool. But you also had things like Diamond Records, which basically ruined any possibility that we'll ever get another good JoJo game that isn't Mobile Cancer, but we still have other cool special events, like we had an early escape room in which you go against Yoshikage Kira and unlock your own stand, but the one we're talking about right now is called Escape JoJo's Bizarre Mansion. This escape room is mainly a collaboration between Scraps, an escape room company, and David Productions' Part 3 team. This is because the room itself takes place during the events of Part 3, in which the Crusaders must face off against a brand new minion of Dio named Dija Maker, and his stand, House of Holi. And you see, the escape room's theme is that the players have 1 hour to escape the labyrinth, solve the puzzles, and defeat Dija alongside the Crusaders. Now, an interesting thing about Dija is the fact that he wasn't created by Araki, as I mentioned, and therefore he has a lot of noticeable differences from Araki's character designs. So, let's examine both Dija and his stand, House of Holi.
For those of you at home, you might want to put on your analysis hat that I sent you.
Dija Maker is a 24-year-old Egyptian man. He is one of Dio's personal assassins, given that he is allowed to have a stand not related to Egyptian gods or tarot cards, much like Vanilla Ice and Kenny G. He also gets his name from the Led Zeppelin song from the House of Holi album called Dija Maker. The song itself is named after an old Cockney accent joke. You see, the joke goes, two men sitting around a room are telling each other stories. The first one tells him that his wife is going on a trip to Jamaica for her holiday. The man replies to that questionably with, to Jamaica, but because of his accent, it comes off as, did Jamaica? And so, the first man replies with, no, she's going on her own accord. You see, this joke stimulates from the fact that redcoats may have called themselves the English, but they sure as fuck did not speak the language. So yeah, Led Zeppelin gave the song the name mainly to show that the song was not to be taken too seriously, as the song itself carries no real deep meaning and it's more of a smooth reggae-esque song they wanted to give a try. And also, a lot of the members of Led Zeppelin find the song to be more of a studio joke that went a little bit too far, and so it's kind of hard to find any meaning for Dija's name. As you see, the only part I can really pull out is like some lyrics kind of fit into his backstory, and the fact that Mak'er is his last name kind of plays into his stand ability, but those are two very weak connections to the song, so I think this kind of shows the difference between David Productions picking a name and Hidehiko Araki picking a name. Now, more on Dija as a character. He appears to be a polite and kind person on the surface, but underneath he's very sly and cunning, just like most of Dio's minions. But he also has a perfectionist trait to him, as he takes great pride and pleasure in his ability to kill without dirtying his hands, as he finds the key to being a perfectionist is being punctual and clean in your actions. He also prefers people to remain 1 meter away from him at all times due to childhood trauma he experienced in the past, as he has developed a serious case of trust issues, this being because as a child, one of his friends abandoned him during a game of hide and seek, and that inlaid a layer of mistrust and hatred towards people since someone who he would consider a friend betrayed him so easily, which also speaks even higher of Dio's persuasiveness and his charisma as he was able to crack Dija's shell. As Dija grew, so did his fascination with puzzles and architecture. You see, to this day he still has a growing collection of Rubik's Cubes, and he also enjoys spending time looking over pictures from his favorite architect, Antonio Gaudi Cornet, who is also known as God's architect. Now, Gaudi was the modernist architect though some people say he went far beyond the modernist style and forged something solely original to himself, who designed fantastical things such as the Casa Mela, or the Casa Bastola, or the masterpiece, which is the Sagrada Familia, which is a structure that is so complex and ahead of its time that it is still not finished to this day and doesn't expect to be finished until 2026. And much like Scalipi from Part 5, the fascination in architecture plays very deeply into Dija's stand ability, so let's talk about that. Dija's stand is called House of Holi, and it's a bound stand which bounds itself to any building which Dija resides in, and its stats are E in destructive power, B in speed, C in range, A in durability, D in precision, and D in developmental potential. The stand has two different abilities, the first being total building manipulation, which allows the user to bend and change a building's interior to his pleasing. Example, Dija turned a regular hotel into an MC Escher painting brought to life. This building is visible to non-stand users, but on the outside the building remains the same, so it's only people stuck in the interior that notice the difference. It is also completely indestructible, as the interior is able to withstand a full-on barrage from Star Platinum without even leaving a scratch on it. Its second ability is what makes it as deadly as it is, this being Without a Trace, the ability that anyone who resides in House of the Holi after an hour of its ability being activated will mysteriously disappear without a trace. Much like Cream in the Hand, Dija does not know where they end up, but he does know they no longer reside in his world anymore. Now these abilities, like the time limit and the invincibility, along with the name itself, I feel solely are based on the fact that this is an escape room, which is fine. Seeing David Productions needing to take a concept as simple as a building you must escape from and designing a neat little character out of it was kinda cool, but the musical references weren't all that great, honestly. Stuff like the name House of Holi seems to only be selected because it had the word house in it and it was a popular song. I mean, House of Holi is also the name of a song on the album Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin, and that might play into the aspect of moving buildings, but Dija Maker comes from the House of Holi album, which, funny enough, House of Holi is not on the House of Holi album. So, I doubt that's what they were going for. Though they did try their best to give Dija a personality based on House of Holi, given that his ability is based on an architect literally named God's Architect, someone who literally makes holy houses. But I feel that these details were more to make Dija fit into the name instead of creating a character who owns the name. So overall, I think David Productions did a really good job with their original villain. He seems like something that might actually exist in the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure universe, if not a little generic in some places, but overly a really good villain. And I love to see him in an OVA or something. I would also like to try out the escape room, Escape JoJo's Bizarre Mansion, but it appears that I'd have to take a trip to Japan to do that because Scraps has no plans to bring it over to the West. Maybe if you guys send them some emails and we get enough people wanting it, maybe they'll bring it over, who knows. Though, if you enjoyed this video and want to help me support more videos like it, I would like you to go over to my Patreon at patreon.com/MannyNotTheBadGuy. And if you want to escape from House of Holi without even having to solve any puzzles, having to take a trip to Japan, you can just get out right away. You purchase a copy of Shimonetta at Funimation.com/show/Shimonetta, boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist, and Dija will just let you out for free. He knows a man of quality and high taste when he sees one.